Okay, so I'm here with Dr. Shawn Talbott, who is a pretty incredible guy. I've gotten to know him quite a bit over the last 2 years, and I'm excited to ask him some questions, especially in regards to sports performance. So athletes, teams that are looking to get that edge in their performance. I think Shawn's got some interesting experience, some background, and some information that you're going to want to hear from. First off, just to tell you a little bit about Shawn himself, Dr. Talbott holds multiple degrees in nutritional biochemistry and exercise science. He's a fellow at the American College of Sports Medicine and American College of Nutrition, and a diplomat of the International Olympic Committee Sports Nutrition Program. And he's also a veteran of Ironman triathlons. And how many of you participated in it, Shawn?
I just did my 20th this past weekend in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
That's amazing. And when you're not running and triathloning all over the place, you're working for Amare Global, the mental wellness company.
Right, exactly.
And really what I want to ask you first is, what does mental wellness have to do with sports performance?
Yeah, well, athletes should, if they don't know this already, they should realize that mental fitness is the new physical fitness, right? This is something that we've been working on for a long time. And finally now in the last couple of years, the science is to a place where we can actually put it into practice, that if you want to get the most out of your physical performance, you have to look to your mental performance. And that's because everyone you're going to be competing against knows how to build muscle. They know how to hydrate. They know how to eat for endurance. They know how to do all of what we call peripheral mechanisms, things that happen in your muscles, things that happen in your bloodstream, things that happen, sort of out there. Where the edge is, where you're going to get that advantage, where you're going to be able to get to that top step of the podium, isn't in here in your body, it's in here in your mind. And that mental fitness will enable you to do one more rep while you're training, or one more turn around the track when you're training. It's going to keep you from fading away when everybody else is fading away. It's going to keep you in the game in terms of your focus and your resilience and your ability to recover. All of those are driven by your mind. And that's really where the cutting edge of sport nutrition is right now.
Oh, that's great. And you mentioned the word resilience. I've been hearing a lot that building up resilience against stress is kind of an important thing. And tell me a little bit about how that works in the sports performance area. I imagine athletes are dealing with constant stress, whether they're training or whether they're in the environment of training, or whether they're not training and they're at home and they're dealing with work or family relationships.
Right.
How do they deal with that?
Yeah, well, I mean, people have to realize that athletes aren't just athletes; they're also people. They have lives, right? They have jobs, or they're students. They might have families. They might have significant others. They have all the same stresses that everybody else has. Plus, they have the stress of their competition. Plus, they have the stress of their training. Plus, they have the stress of their recovery, right? So it's stress on top of stress. So stress resilience really is where it's at. The work that I've done, whether it's for U.S. Track and Field Association or U.S. Ski Team or the Olympic Training Centers, was really around stress resilience and recovery. Because if you can make sure that you're training and adapting to that training and get the benefits of that training, so you're getting better and better and better, but make sure that you don't get sick and you don't get hurt and you don't get a tendinitis or any of the inflammatory problems, and you're able to bounce back so you can continue to train hard and continue to recover. That's where the game is right now, right? It's not so much that we're educating people about how to eat and how to supplement and all that kind of stuff so that we improve their performance. It's not like that. It's so that they can continue their performance where everyone around them is fading away because they can't get to the starting line, or they can't finish the race, or they can't, dig down because they're burned out, what we would call overtrained for an athlete. That's really where all this gut-brain axis science is pointing us.
So gut-brain axis, what are some, tell us a little bit more about exactly what that is and how, modulating that can actually do something for our performance?
Yeah, sure. A lot of times when I talk about, the things that I've just mentioned, getting mental resilience and mental fitness as a way to get more out of your physical performance, athletes and coaches will very often think that I'm talking about, just things that happen in the brain. So they're thinking, oh, he's going to tell me about a stimulant that's going to make me push more. Or he's going to talk about something that's going to improve the blood flow to my brain so I can think more clearly and things like that. Those are certainly important. But the new science around the gut-brain axis is telling us that the signals that the brain is receiving are coming from all over different parts of the body. So some of those signals are coming from the gut. Some of those signals are coming from your stress response system. Some of those signals are coming from the bacteria in your gut, your microbiome. Some of the signals are coming from your heart in terms of electrical signals. And so if we can integrate all of those signals into a more optimized signaling pathway, we can get more out of that athlete. And so it's a very different way of thinking about it, that you're thinking about your gut as a way to make you get to the finish line faster. That is really where the cutting edge is. And, this might sound kind of science fiction-y to people who are hearing it for the first time, but that's because it's the cutting edge. 5 or 10 years from now, this stuff is going to be mainstream thinking and everyone's going to be doing it. There's not going to be any cutting edge, unfair advantage that you're going to be able to get from this, but you can get it now because it's such new thinking around the science of it.
So give me an example of maybe 1 or 2 mental benefits that specific to athletes, maybe, that can be modulated or targeted, with what ingredient in the gut microbiome?
Yeah. So what can I think of? So we know there are specific bacteria in your gut that will make more dopamine, for example, right? Dopamine is the neurotransmitter that we tend to associate with being motivated, being able to push through obstacles and things like that. And so, think about this. If you could get your bacteria into a balance where they're making more dopamine, you're going to be more motivated. And when you're feeling low motivation, you're going to be able to produce more on demand and push through whatever that obstacle is. That's one example. Another example might be that your microbiome, what's happening in your gut, actually controls a lot of what happens in the axis portion of what we call the gut-brain axis. So that's partly your inflammation. That's partly your immune system vigilance. If you can get the axis in a better place, what we call primed, that means you're going to be able to heal damage more efficiently. You're going to be able to repair the stresses that you put your body under for your physical activity. You're going to have lower inflammation, so you're going to recover faster. That means that you can have a hard day and then recover enough so you can have another hard day, or you can have a hard day and you can recover enough so you don't get sick or hurt. That's going to translate directly into performance. There are things that we can do in terms of having your microbiome make more GABA, for example. GABA is the neurotransmitter that helps us relax when we're stressed out. And so if you could make more of that on demand, you could relax when you want to go to sleep and get a better night's sleep and better sleep quality. You could relax in the face of being stressed out, being on the line, or pacing around before the starter's gun goes off, right? A lot of athletes get in that situation, and what happens? They can't relax, so they choke, right? So those are some examples where, is it motivation and resilience? Is it not choking? Is it recovering better? Is it getting better sleep quality? All of those seem like very different things, but they're all related to the gut-brain axis.
And didn't you tell me at one point in time, what was the number 1 reason that people dropped out of Ironman competitions?
Yeah, exactly. When you're talking about these ultra endurance events, the number 1 reason is gastrointestinal problems, right? So, that affects everybody. You're out there for, 8 to 12 hours, or some of these 100-mile runs, you're out there for 24 hours. Gastrointestinal discomfort, getting sick, getting nauseous, getting, runner's trots and things like that. If you can have a more resilient gut, you're going to be able to, you're going to avoid those problems. But then if you have a more resilient gut, a less inflamed gut, a gut with better integrity, you're going to absorb more protein. You're going to absorb more vitamins and minerals. You're going to get more fuel into your system in order to either, fuel your muscle growth, your muscle protein synthesis, fuel your hydration, fuel your endurance, fuel your ability to recover from, the stresses of your training.
Okay, so how can I take this knowledge and actually do something about it today? I know you've formulated specific Amare products that are going to benefit a lot of athletes through this kind of regular supplementation. What are maybe the top 3 you suggest for sports teams or individuals to get started with today? Something that can be found at like a typical gym or health food store that's going to make a noticeable impact on their performance.
Yeah, so one of the things I love about what we're doing at Amare is not just talking about it, right? Not just saying, hey, there's some cool research over there, right? I love that as a scientist. But as an athlete myself, what I really love is that we're able to look at the science and build it into a product where people can go, oh, that's all very interesting. Let me give it a try and see how it works for me, right? So fundamentals, which is a whole gut-brain axis system. It's something for the gut to change that microbiome balance. It's something for the brain to improve neurotransmitter balance and activation of different areas that help with doing more work and then doing it in a calm fashion. But it also helps with that axis. It helps with inflammation. It helps with immune system vigilance. So you put all those 3 things together, and you've got 3 products that work in a coordinated way across that gut-brain axis to improve everything that I just talked about. But we also just a couple of weeks ago, we launched a new product called Menta Heart, which brings in this idea of a third heart. So if we've got the brain in our head as our first brain, the brain in our gut as our second brain, now we're talking about the brain in our heart as our third brain. And the way that that can fuel performance is that we've discovered that if you can get the signaling between the heart and the brain to be in coherence or in resonance with each other, the waves from the heart balancing with the waves of the brain, not only do you get good cardiovascular effects, right? You have less oxidative damage, less inflammatory damage, better heart function. That's going to be all good for physical performance, but you can also get a mental performance benefit in terms of better mood, less fatigue, better vigor, which is the opposite of burnout. For an athlete, that would be the opposite of overtraining. So now you have the opportunity to say, well, now I've got all these 3 brains, the gut brain, the head brain, and the heart brain all working together. So that's 4 products that you would do. And then maybe the last one would be, a product like our Relief Plus, which is really focused on helping you get down to lower levels of inflammation. I don't have arthritis. I don't have aches and pains in my body, but I use that product every single day as a way to keep my inflammation down. And I'll use it sometimes twice a day if I've had a really, really hard workout and I might have a little bit of, muscle soreness or something like that. So those would be the ones that I think people would look at: fundamentals, Menta Heart, and Relief Plus.
Awesome. Thanks, Shawn. And just kind of as a bonus question here, would the new Hemp GBX Plus be beneficial to athletes and what they're doing?
Yeah, definitely could. So that's a product that, and in fact, I'm doing a deep dive on that later on tonight. That product is sort of a product where, it's based on hemp oil, right? So it's a full spectrum hemp oil extract. It has all the naturally occurring cannabinoids. So CBD, very, very low THC, almost undetectable, but the whole family of cannabinoids. So that can additionally help with inflammation and pain and relaxation and mood and things like that. But it's something where an athlete might want to use that only on their hardest days, because where a product like that really shines by activating that endocannabinoid system, the same system that we activate when we get, runner's high or post-workout sort of happy glow. That endocannabinoid system, the best activation of that is when you're out of homeostasis, right? When you're out of balance. So you've had a really hard workout, you're completely blown out of the water. You could use a product like that to help reset your balance and get all those systems signaling again. So that'd be something you could use sort of as needed based on the level of your training stress.
Awesome. Thank you, Shawn. I appreciate your time. If you're an athlete or somebody who's interested in improving their sports performance, you're going to want to get back with the person who sent you this video and find out a little bit how you can get a hold of some of these products and get your sports performance, get that edge that you're looking for. Thanks very much again, Shawn. Appreciate your time.
Sure thing. See you later, Dave.